Join me to welcome June Mensah. Today, she reveals how she got the courage to go back to school to start a career in midwifery.
She looked at me in the eye and she said, June, I would have been a good mum. Why is my baby not here? And I broke down.
She also talks about creating Fearless Women UK.
How can I tell you to be fearless when I fear?
And also passing down family values onto the next generation. This is her story. So June, we've explored your life's philosophy in terms of relationships, but now I really want to hear a bit more about your road to being an author. How you started journaling, how you like writing, and then you created Fearless Women UK.
Yeah. Okay, so writing, I've always wrote stories. I've always wrote in journals all my life. Journals are a thing for me. It's a way of expressing things that you can't say out loud. When you put them on paper and then you read them back, you realize how deep they were. So I've always been the writer in my household in general. When we talk about writing and writing books, I've recently started thinking of writing books. So I'm in the middle of writing a book. So that will be an expression that will come out soon. If I don't procrastinate on it, but yes, for definite. Fearless Women is born out really of a story. So I was in a conversation with one of my younger peers, and we had a conversation about struggles and being real. And we talked about climbing up this mountain. So I was saying to her that I'm climbing up this mountain, but every now and again, I really wish I could just hide in the cleft, not be seen, not climb anymore, take off these walking shoes and just forget it. And she said to me, no, you can't, because if you stop walking, I'm going to fall off the mountain because I'm watching your feet. And I was totally blown away by it. I was totally blown away by that someone had that view of me. And we shared some exchanges, and I had said to her, I've got something that I've written, I want to read it to you. And I read it to her, and she broke down saying, this is what I need. I need people who would understand me. So I kind of started thinking about what I could do for other people. And that was also stemming from the fact that I have one daughter and 3 boys. So I was thinking, what can I give back to my daughter? How can I help her not to make the mistakes that I've made? And then I've got these other women who are around me who are asking for a way to express themselves and a way for them to hear other women's experiences and be real. So that's how Fearless Women was born. I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. As a midwife, I support women through the most challenging time of their life. They're the unknown. They're expecting a baby. They haven't seen this child for 9 months. They know there's going to be pain. They know that they've got to deliver, and they're worried. And I'm meant to be there to support them to do that. I do that in my everyday walk of life. So then I thought, okay, how can I transfer that from my everyday job into some kind of inspiration and empowerment movement? And that's how Fearless Women came about. I said, if I can be fearless, because I was the first person to say that I would be afraid of everything. Like, well, should I do that? I wonder, I would second guess, but then I would do it and be afraid. So I thought, okay, we need to fear less. So Fearless Women is born from that story, me thinking about fearing less and rising above the things that we see, to inspire, to empower, to uplift another woman, sister, daughter, friend. That's how Fearless Women came about. So that's why I'm doing what I do now. And the writing just sits behind all of that, because that's what will emphasize about me telling my story to you, you telling your story to me sharing that platform with somebody else. But also Fearless Women creates a space where you can come in and not be afraid to share, not be afraid that anyone's going to judge you, but we're going to come and listen and learn from each other. I'll be inspired by your story, you be inspired by my story, then we'll go out and share the story. That's what Fearless Women is really about. That's why I'm passionate about sharing with women. We're having honest conversations, real talk. You share with me, I share with you. Because what I understand growing up, my parents didn't tell us stuff. They kept those things quite secret to their chest because they didn't want their friends and neighbors to know them going through a struggle. I want to change that. I want us to have an action that we be authentic, courageous and transformed, but we sit in a space where we can be real and have real talk. We do once a month, well, every 3 months we do a Fearless Talk series. We're going to increase them soon. We're going to make them into podcasts soon. We're going to come back and be live soon. So there'll be live spaces together. So yeah, hit the websites, hit the Instagram handles, and watch out.
So, June, have you ever heard of the word imposter syndrome?
You might look at me and think that, yeah, I've arrived here. Well, I haven't really just arrived here. It's taken hard work, really. And a lot of the times you do things, you do them, you think you're doing them well, and you put them out, and people are coming back and saying, oh, this is really nice. But even when they say this is really good, oh my God, you should do this. It makes, I do sometimes think I'm a fraud. Like, how can I tell you to be fearless, for instance, when I fear, and, but what I realize is that I want to fear less. So technically fear is going to always be in the equation. But also when I put something out and then I look around and I think, well, there are so many other people who seem to be more qualified, who have all these big titles, that they may be doing it and doing it better than me. So I feel like sometimes I'm an imposter in that sense. But as time has gone on, I realized that there is more than enough room. There is definitely more than enough room. There could be 20 fearless women. Because we will eventually arrive at the people that need to meet. You would find the person that you need to meet, and I will find the person that I need to meet. So definitely it's a work in progress. It's going to be an ever evolving challenge.
What is the worst challenge you faced, either on your journey to becoming a midwife or today?
I guess I can talk about midwifery. There's loads of things I could talk about. I can give you two instances. I can give you one when I used to work in pharmaceuticals. When I used to work in pharmaceuticals, I was the medical technical officer, and I worked in oncology. So I looked after patients who had cancers. We made IVs and drugs up for those patients, and radioisotope materials for them to take for treatment. And I used to shadow, so I was working under another senior, and I would have deputized for her when she wasn't there. So I deputized for her on this particular bank holiday, and we finished what we had to do in quite a record time. We had loads of work, but we kind of had music on the background. We got through the workload. So she came back and heard about how well we had presented, and then I had an appraisal a few days after that week we had worked. And she told me in my appraisal that when I come in, that the atmosphere changes. So if I'm quiet, everybody's quiet. If I'm jolly, everybody's jolly. And when the workload is there, the workload doesn't get done. And I was like, is she appraising the wrong person? Because I was like, that doesn't make sense. So I felt quite deflated. I felt quite, I felt like as if to say, well, I'd done such a good job. But here she is telling me that I don't do the job well. And then also I don't come to work to be everybody's friend. I come to work to do my job. And if I'm quiet and I don't feel like talking, that shouldn't be a punishment for me at all. And people have their own thought process. So, long and short of that story. So I felt defeated. I felt deflated. And then I decided that I was going to do one of my favorite things that I do was to just change pathways. So I took 2 weeks off. I looked for jobs, didn't see any jobs at the time. I decided to hand my notice in, but I didn't hand my notice down to my line manager. I handed the notice in to the line manager above him.
Right.
He was like, I don't understand why you're handing your notice in. I've not heard any bad report from you. I said, well, this is what my appraisal said this. I feel like I'm not good enough, so I'm going to leave. And he was like, no, I'm not taking your resignation. We're going to wait. I'm going to do an investigation. I'm going to come back and see. I said, but as far as I'm concerned, from today, my resignation is what it is. I've got 4 weeks to work and I'm good. So they tried everything to keep me. They tried everything. They discussed it. They did all these things. And the day I was leaving, they had a leave-in due for me. And all of the doctors, all of the senior doctors, the senior lead that I handed my notice in, they all came to my leave-in due. So this deputy that had given me this bad appraisal, she saw all of these senior people and was stunned. I mean, even I was stunned. And they started saying things about my work and my work ethic and how it's a sad loss and they can't believe I'm leaving, and they would offer me loads of different things to stay, but I won't stay. And I watched this lady's face change. And she came back and apologized to me for giving me such an appalling appraisal. She said that it was just because I got on with everyone and she didn't like that idea. that she didn't have the same response. She couldn't create the same response. That was one of the worst things of I thought maybe I jumped ship too soon, but it was a good eye-opener for me. It made me think that, even though you're doing stuff good, people will not like it, people will hate on you. I walked out of that job and walked straight into a job 2 weeks later. Someone headhunted me and said, I heard you've left, there's a job here, come for a chat. So I moved jobs within 2 weeks. I didn't really I had a job in 2 weeks after that. So that was one of the worst things, but also one of the best things that could have happened to me as well. And then that was that pharmaceuticals. And then midwifery. Mm-hmm. One of the challenges I would say in midwifery is that when you come into midwifery, you think it's all about babies. You're wrong. It's much more than that.
Oh.
It's babies is one aspect, but there's the mum, there's the baby, there's the family, there's the staff, there's the process. There's so much things involved. And one of the things that people don't realize is the responsibility and the weight of being a midwife, because you have two lives in your hands and anything can happen and it can turn wrong. It can become not the happiest moment and it can become the saddest moment. So one of my challenges that I had when I first qualified was that I had an incident which didn't turn out to be a happy moment. And I didn't know whether I was going to do midwifery again because I didn't anticipate that outcome. But I'm still a midwife, so you can tell that it only sharpened my blades and got me cutting grass much more precisely. I won't be emotional, I hope, but I apologise in advance if I am. But I had a case where obviously pregnancy, the journey, the 9 months, you're expecting to have a live baby at the end of it. This case I had the lady didn't have a live baby. She came in unexpectedly with not feeling very well. She then, I was the midwife caring for, I was fairly junior as well. So I, had a conversation with her about her history. And even when she was telling me about her history, I realized that something didn't sound right. And my gut feeling was saying this is not going to be a good outcome, but I tried to move past it to keep encouraging her, to get the information. When I went to listen in, as you do when ladies first come in, you listen and see the fetal heart. I couldn't hear anything. And I convinced myself that maybe it's just my own ears and I went to get a second opinion. We got a second opinion and they couldn't hear the fetal heart. And so I knew at that junction, before the lady knew, that there wasn't going to be a live outcome for this lady. And the bit that was really challenging for me was we had to go for a scan with her to confirm. The sonographer said, I'm going to do these checks. I'm not going to speak for a moment and then I'm going to give you my findings. But we already knew the findings, so I felt like we were being forced because we couldn't tell her straight away until we had it confirmed. When it was confirmed, she looked at me in the eye and she called my name and she said, June, I would have been a good mum. Why is my baby not here? And I broke down. And, it's not professional to break down, but I broke down. She broke down, the sonographer broke down. We were all in tears and it was just such a hard moment. And I had to get back from that and still do midwifery and still support that lady and still be the advocate for her. And it was tough. So that was one of my worst challenges in midwifery to date, I would say. In training, you're taught about bereavement, you talk about support and being an advocate. And I had to kind of not, brush myself off and think, okay, how do I move forward? I can do as much as I can do for that lady by being her supporter, being her cheerleader, encouraging her that, at this time it wasn't to be, but there may be other times. And then rallying around my friends, my colleagues. Obviously you got your peer support. I have my faith as well, and I don't know why. I never question God and say, why did you not take that baby? Why did that baby not live? I just think that maybe at this particular time, this baby wasn't meant to be in the earth. It came for the mom to have that experience, but what I can't judge, I don't know. All I can encourage her is that this time it wasn't a good outcome, but who are we to say it wasn't a good outcome? We don't know. We don't know what that baby demise would have been later on in life. So I had to brush myself off. For a few weeks, of course, every case I had, I went to listen and I had the fear. Am I going to hear it? Or am I not going to hear it? But you soon get past that. It becomes a memory in one of your boxes that you move on from. And every now and again, you remind yourself that this is why you do your job. you're there to help somebody else to get through. So yeah.
Whew.
Tough.
That is so deep, and I applaud you for not getting emotional, because I'm trying to stay calm here.
I've been through lots of bereavement now, and I've got thicker skin, I've got broader shoulders. I can support a woman without crying now. And every now and again we do have those moments when we have a tear. That we go in the corner and we take a minute. One of the things that I do, even with my working day, if the working day is bad, if the people are getting on your nerves, if it's people are a bit angry at you and you can't do anything about it, I sometimes go into a little corner. I take off my shoes. If I've got heels on, if it's not work and I have heels on, I take my shoes off and I stamp the floor, and I give I really just stamp it out, and I break the taboo of it, and then I put my shoes on and I get back out there and I get on with it. I just find a space to just shake it all off, because sometimes there's nothing I could do in that day could change the fact that this is a bad day for you. I just have to make sure that I don't wear that coat. That baggage is not mine to take on.
Yeah.
When I leave, I've got to shake it off. I cannot take it home with me. So that was the way I dealt with my frustrations. I would go and shake it off, and stamping my feet seemed to be the way forward. That and putting on good lipstick.
She dropped that in there, putting on a good lipstick. Can you tell me a little bit more about your faith?
Yeah, as I've evolved and got older and more mature, I've kind of walked in my faith in dribs of dabs, but now I'm really committed. I don't mess about with my faith. It's the thing that's kept me. I wouldn't be here and doing these things now if it wasn't for my faith. I've always been a prayer. I definitely pray every morning, like I said. I get up at 5. I give my time to God for an hour. I pray through the day. I read my word. I take scriptures on and I let them resonate in my spirit. And I really move through. There's one scripture that Psalm 23 is, everybody reads Psalm 23, but I only ever got to the first line, which is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I held on to that for ages through my life, because as a young woman with kids, and I had 2 children, and then I had a broken relationship, and then I got married, and then I had 2 more children, and then I had another broken relationship. I've always had to just go to God and say, well, God, here I am. I just surrender myself. What do you want me to do now? And God's always kept me. He's kept me safe. He's kept me whole. And so that scripture always resonates with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I've not wanted. I may have had moments when I felt like I needed something and I didn't have it, but God said I will never want. And that's what I base my fear on. So when I go out here doing the things that I do, I remind myself that I will never really be in want. I will never beg. I'll never starve, and that God's never going to leave me. And that's how I live my life, really.
Wow, that's quite the foundation, and what you've just described to me talks a lot about your relationship with God. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Awesome.
So June, tell me, what do you do outside of your day job as a midwife and outside of inspiring women as Fearless Woman?
Okay, so I love music. I'm passionate about music. I sing, so I do sing as well. But music is where I wind down to. So I'll listen to music. I walk, like I said before. I journal. I love to cook. I love hosting. So yeah, those are things that I would be doing on a day-to-day if I wasn't doing anything particular.
So now, June, talk to me about the NHS, midwife, the workforce, and the strategies and the things you're thinking of changing.
Okay, so I currently work in practice development. I look after preceptors who are newly qualified midwives. I support midwives who are already in practice. I support student midwives. I support workers. I support the doctors. That's my current particular role. I have been working with NHS England, and Health Education England over the last 4 or 5 years, looking at the strategy for the workforce, looking at support workers and unregistered practitioners and helping them to have a career pathway. Because currently we work with a lot of healthcare support workers who don't have any formal training or formal qualifications. And one of the things that the strategy across the globe has been is to grow your own. So I've done a project with Health Education England looking at maternity support workers and their roles and how we can give them a career pathway either into midwifery or into higher education or into their role and knowing their role well. I don't do clinical as much as I used to, but I definitely have, when we're short-staffed and things like that, I get my hands in.
Now I want to ask you, what has been the best part of your job to date?
To date, well, what the first one is, there's more than one, I would say. The first one would be being the first person to see someone's baby. I'm the first one. Like, I'm the one that touches your baby first. I'm the one that hands you your baby. I'm the one that sees your baby first after 9 months of you carrying it. That's a blessing. That's a privilege. That's an honor that someone would allow me to be that person. That's one of the first most rewarding things of my job. The second thing of my job would be that I get to do something that I'm passionate about around like-minded people. I've always been caring, I've always been hospitable. I feel like my niche is supporting people. And I think that's why, stepping out of my career and doing something that's more inspirational and empowering is a natural evolution for me.
So now, June, tell me, you've done a lot up until now. What does the future hold for June?
I guess career-wise, it will be just to keep doing what I do. I'm fairly senior. I will continue to plow that direction until I think about retirement. With myself in general, I want to pursue the writing a bit more. I write a lot. I do poetry. So I want to pursue that. I want to get the book out. By the end of this year, I want to have done that book, have it out so people can get inspired to flourish. I'd love to find love again, obviously. I'd love to see my children growing up and doing what they do, and the creative side of me coming out, the entrepreneur side of me evolving and becoming something that will bless somebody. If I could just bless one person, I've done what I need to do. I just don't want to go to my grave with the things that the Lord has given me to do.
Wow. How, as a community, can we help you?
Help me?
Yes.
I think really it would be to join the conversations that I put out. It would be to take one step towards your dreams and don't let them lay dormant. I write a lot, and I always say to people, don't let the words stay on the pages. Let them come out and inspire somebody. If you inspire somebody, you're helping me. If you step out, you're helping me. You're helping me to be able to put this platform that I'm creating to inspire other women to step up and do the things that they're needed. There's something that you've got that I need, and there's something that they've got that we all need. So that's what I would say. That's what I say. Step out. Just take one step. Step out and step up. Join the conversations and let us have real talk.
Any final words to the one woman who's going to watch and listen to your story and your journey and hopefully take something away? What do you want her to take away?
Okay, I would say to you to fear less. I would say to you to remember that you're a seed, and that seed, once planted in good soil, will produce fruit. Don't be afraid to step out. Just take the step and let the other things meet you on the journey. You are able to do it. You can become incredible and fearless all at the same time. That's what I would tell you.